So,
let's go!
This is a Vayne into a Ziggs and a Nautilus as well. Okay, where do we even start with this? Because if you now leave the Vayne alone in a side lane, if it comes to something like a Herald fight, Vayne kills you. Vayne is not the best champion at dealing with someone like this Jax, but if you can buy space for, you know, if you can buy space for this Vayne to really start popping off in teamfights with a Gragas ult, with Ksante dragging someone out as well, that is a huge amount of tank killing potential, which Weibo did not have in that first game.
No, they did not, but we're going to jump straight into the game. I want to see the Vayne. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's cooking. I'm going to quickly check to see if this is the first Vayne in the major region. I'm pretty confident in that, but I'm going to make sure I get that one said. But great to see what's going on. Light bringing this one out. And honestly, going into the Ziggs, like you said, it feels like this is going to be something that like the Vayne will be able to stack up very, very quickly and just kind of be happy to sit in a lane.
Okay, so right, let's try and decode this for this point in time. So, LNG, they have themselves double poke again. Technically, they had that with Jayce, or rather, they were playing against that with the Jayce and the Jhin in that last game. When you have a huge amount of CC to basically guarantee the Shock Blast and the Mega Inferno Bomb landing, that becomes very, very dangerous. Level 1, 5-man stack towards the spot side. They see them heading up.
That's how maths work. Add the 5 levels together. It's effectively level 5.
Oh, it's level 5.
It's a level 5, but it's only 5 champions. You know, it's like if I can bench press one plate 4 times, I can bench press 4 plates 1 time. That's how maths work, I guess. No, don't do that. It's not how maths works.
Now, I don't know whether you've had time to check that Vayne stat. I actually have. This is our first Vayne in a major region. We've seen it in GLL, we've seen it in some of the ERLs, but not in a Worlds qualifying region. So,
light, crisp. Oh, he gets hit by the hook. He might just lose himself. He's going to heal, he's going to flash, and cleanse as well. So he loses all his summoners. So right now, Light not feeling too great about that Vayne, but does not lose his life. Scout still trying to play keep away. Xiaohu brings out the
crisp.
Gragas mid. I don't think you can actually take this, because don't forget, he took Satchel Charge first. There's no follow-up here from LP. That cooldown's massive.
That's very true. But you do have your passive in terms of early auto-attack damage, which is why Hung's there's like, well, my bot lane partner, can't you exactly call them a marksman, can you? Not an AD carry in this. My bot lane has got himself his cooldowns back, and Light, first game of Vayne in a major region, has to go back to lane by missing XP, not having any summoners, not having a heal on his support either. That one's been taken away.
Lost his pot as well.
It's lost his pot. This is really difficult now for Weibo to play around this bot side, because with this composition, when you have the Gragas in the mid lane, yeah, good amount of burst damage. Same with the Elise, same with the Ksante to a degree as well. You need your Vayne to be doing good damage to win out these team fights. The Vayne being put behind, even at level 1, very impactful from LNG, and it took them a while to get online in game 1. This is already good news in the very early stages of game 2.
Absolutely, just kind of keeping everything nicely in check, shall we say, in that bot side. Tarzan already moving in, because guess what? You don't have summoners on your bot laners. The flash for flash, the Satchel Charge secures it with the Comet. Now Scout looking to see if he can get away from this one here. They're going to try and burst him out between 2 turrets. Weibo, not to be outdone and just as daring.
Oh, Karsa had himself a hell of a lot of early game attempts on the Elise in that first game. Gets himself one successful one here, but these are not equal. You have a teleport into the mid lane, which allows Scout to mop up the remainder of that wave. Light has been denied so much in this bot lane, though. Turret plating over to the Ziggs, and reminded that on 13.3, a couple of important things. You have some support itemization changes coming in later, but the support ratios mean that Hung is going to be very powerful when he gets to his point out. We're fighting again, Machine.
Ooh, nice repel there. Actually means there's no Satchel Charge, excuse me, not Satchel Charge. The Dredge line is now Xiaohu finds himself completely isolated away from his team, but you can see Crisp putting in work here on this Ashe, but not really anything else to become from it. But so far, so good for LNG. 2 kills to the good, already 1,000 gold up, and they're kind of putting in a little bit more pressure onto this Elise and saying, look, we're not going to let you have this free laning phase that we thought you would have.
No, that level 1 going to have so many ramifications. Karsa not going to have free run of the early game. And what this means is that you're likely to have Ziggs hitting turret because they're winning lane so hard. Light has been denied an awful lot. Karsa's not there to save them. If this Ziggs gets to the point where he takes 5 turret plates in the way that we know Ziggs very much can, LNG, despite not having the best early game performance in game 1, are looking to absolutely explode in this second game.
Tarzan now seeing if he can maybe catch out TheShy, who didn't have a terrible early game last time around, but level 5 trying to see if he can go toe-to-toe with Zika. Zika tries to jump in with the Jax. The flash has already been used. TheShy doesn't have anything else really to try and keep himself alive. He does have Ksante things, though. And with that extra little bit of shielding, Tarzan almost falls down to the minions. You can see TheShy saying, yes, you can nerf Ksante, but I am still very powerful. And now, look, it's play after play after play. Good condemnment to the wall. LP now taking a lot of damage, and he has no mana. He can't really clear this wave. They're going to go for another dive because they can just tank it up with Karsa, who goes into the repel. There's the kill going over to Light. Hung will not be able to go down because the tower had ramped up, and they lose an execution over to Chris. No one gains the gold, but Hung gets himself some experience.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is again not all players are the same. You have a teleport on your Ziggs. He's just gone back to that bot lane anyway, despite diving and getting a kill over your Vayne. Very important. You haven't denied LP getting everything that he wanted out of that brief bit of that lane. So Weibo making some plays, Karsa making some plays around the map, but these are not killer blows in the way that it feels like putting this Vayne behind R.
Well, Vayne is definitely behind on CS, but that little kill should help a little bit. But yeah, it does feel like right now you are still looking at a LNG favored map at the moment. It is only a 500 gold lead, which is kind of just the CS in bot lane, to be perfectly honest, and a little bit of mid as well. But Tarzan has been very active, and it has just been a little bit of a Tarzan versus Karsa matchup right now. It does feel like both these junglers need to be so aggressive to make sure they're getting the most out and most advantages for their team.
Yeah. We are getting to the point where we're going to start seeing some rotations up towards Herald in the next couple of minutes. That will be incredibly important. When you have a demolitionist on your team, like a Tristana, like a Ziggs, you can be very aware of what that can do. Looking to demolish out his health bar, though. Hacklash over the wall.
Oh, the flash back, though. Great explosive cast. They'll trade it back. Xiaohu will fall, but it goes over to Hong, and that's a good little answer back there. Weibo not to be outdone. It is very tit for tat right now, Nymaera.
Yeah, that was a really good alley-oop. Gets the combo onto Karsa. Karsa gets to pick up one kill there as well. Weibo at least managing to pick up some plays. They're not necessarily the best case scenarios in terms of those dives, but getting gold onto Elise. See what Karsa can do with that one. He's heading immediately towards this top side.
There we go, the all-out use as well as the ultimate from Zika, who tries to hop himself away. And you see the repel go up, but you're level 4 to a level 6. You can't really take this fight. And Karsa now realizes that. He's just trying to wait for a couple of his cooldowns to come back. Xiaohu is coming over the side. No flash here on Zika. And no ward either to hop away to. He's going to try and maybe get caught out here. They want to try and give this one over to Karsa, and they will. While that was happening, Dragon is secured by LNG. So Weibo 4-3 to the good. Equal gold state, but they have no priority in the spot side.
Every plate here now. You have a Ziggs with a satchel. But choosing to make the play topside, you're losing 5 plates, and this is the real danger of what could happen against this Ziggs. You have to assume that Satchel's going to come down next wave or two. And I'm getting a little bit worried for Weibo. You're accelerating the pace of the game, but Ziggs just has tools to take down turrets in the way that you don't. Sure, you can get this demolish onto tower, but if you manage to get LP unlocked onto the map, potentially taking others around there too, Weibo, despite staying even in gold right now, feels like it could be on the precipice.
It could be. Good kills being traded back as well by LNG and Weibo, and I do like that we're getting a little bit more of a skills matchup, a hands diff, if you will. It's not about the macro plays as much. It's definitely about how you're able to kind of make those rotations work. Karsa 2-0-1 on the Elise. Very, very powerful right now, but with the Dragon going over in favor of LNG, you can imagine with the resets coming out, they are going to try and maybe contest around this Rift Herald.
Are they going to get there in time? I don't think they will be. And this is now very important because, again, you give a Herald over to a team with a Ziggs. Really, really dangerous. Can't afford to leave a turret alone at that point. Maybe they have to look for a return play somewhere. Not going to be able to do anything around this Herald itself.
2 neutrals now over to LNG, and this is what I wanted to see from this matchup. It's like host game 1 coming in, game 2, nobody's holding any punches. Everyone's still pushing to try and find those little small advantages that could irk them ahead in this series. Light does get a little bit of free time in the spot side. Is down about 20 CS or so, but that kill definitely bringing him back just a little bit. He won't be too far behind in terms of the item completions. And we wait to see now what the next real contention is going to be. Right now, it's just ward control. So everyone's calming down. Summoners are all coming back up. But no real objective for the moment. What do you want to see here from LNG to try and, push their advantages? Because they have put a lot of emphasis in the spot side.
They have done. The difficulty is now that Vayne has level 6, and despite not having items, could potentially just pop ult and then run at someone like the Ziggs. They're looking to make a big play with their first Nautilus kind of hook of the game, though.
Ooh, Karsa has to flash, the explosive cast brought out as well, and just as I said, you got all your summoners back, one gets blown, and that's not going to be a flash cocoon now for a very long time.
Yeah, we haven't really seen LNG massively prioritize like Hung comboing up with his hook. He doesn't have his ultimate yet. With Tarzan and Scout to make a big play between like mid-jungle support. When you have LP with that ultimate as well, watch for any kind of CC landing just on the same half of the map as that Ziggs is. I think the next big thing that LNG need to do is, of course, just try and get a satchel onto turret. You have 4 minutes of plates left. If you can get 2 satchels into 2 towers, that is a huge amount of gold. Hung looking to force in this mid lane.
I mean, I don't know if he's looking to force, because you will lose quite a lot of your health bar if you're not careful. Crisp, not quite level 6 himself, does tick over to it with the XP given by that pink ward. There's going to be a satchel drop down, and all the plates, and turret will fall. Covered myself just in case LP gets caught out there, but ends up being exactly what you said would happen. LNG are able to push forward, and just with the rotations coming out, we might see Scout. He did just catch a glimpse, I thought, there of Karsa.
The resets are there. No one's protecting Scout.
No one is protecting Scout, and Scout is dead. Chris picks up that kill. Very nicely comboed up here by Weibo. And again, they're keeping themselves within arm's reach of LNG. They're not letting this gold lead just balloon into a disadvantage.
But it's like, is Jayce like a bait pick today? Xiaohu really struggled on it in game 1. Scout 0-3 despite being the MVP of game 1. Tarzan still has the Herald, still looks for something big here. If this is a kill, this could be a huge amount of plates in mid.
It could be massive. Xiaohu not quite going down, but there he goes. And that's going to be a lot of gold, you would imagine, coming out here now for LNG. It looks like they don't want the plates just yet. They're trying to get control over this dragon beforehand because they hadn't got the wave. But now with the wave coming in, exactly like you said, Nymaera, they are looking to try and get more gold funneled into the Ziggs.
Yeah, it's just so dangerous giving this amount of just gold over the other side. Arrow comes in. Again, Weibo, they're trying to defend it as best they can.
They are trying to defend it. They already used the satchels, so they're not going to be able to fully kill off this turret. And with 3 members of Weibo strong, the bot laners and junglers of both teams face off, and it's just 2 plates to the good. But again, good gold going over the side of LNG. They are still ahead on that front, and they are still putting in pressure here to Weibo.
Yeah, you don't have your Ziggs ult now for a combo around this dragon. Scout did teleport bot side while this mid play was happening. Weibo had to respond mid, so Scout was free to push out bot. That means that they have 2 pushing lanes around this dragon. Zika doesn't have teleport to join this play though. LNG, I don't think you want to get stuck here.
No, they're going to look to try and burn out Tarzan before, excuse me, not Tarzan, they're going to look to burn out Karsa, and they will do just that. There's one, but that's a great explosive cast, isolates this fight. TheShy is already here. This is still a 4v4 because TheShy roamed down, and you will lose more and more of these people. The TP coming out from Xiaohu will not be stopped. Crisp has to steal that one away from the Vayne. Otherwise, Xiaohu is not going to be able to defend top, but Weibo get themselves a couple of kills, and they've got prime position for this dragon.
That is such a greedy play from LNG. You know you're going to have a 4v5 at that point. You have to assume that TheShy is going to make his way down there. Is it going to be an even trade? I'm trying to think actually how many kills they ended up losing. That one got a bit messy across the multi-sided affair of that fight.
I think it was 3.
They lose 3. They get 1 back in return at the start of that play because Karsa burns out to the Ignite. They don't lose the Dragon. I think if the Dragon goes over, I think LNG very much walking away with negative side to that, despite Jax being left alone in that top lane at this point. I wonder if they just thought this could be a 1 and out. They just don't have the vision to completely see the danger that they're in. I think TheShy might have actually slipped around that mid lane without being seen. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like that maybe changed the way that they were thinking about approaching that play. We are back to this objective now. Ziggs ult is back up, and I think that's why Weibo can't afford to contest this.
Yeah, they got to back themselves away. Too much burst available. They're just going to take mid lane priority. Rifthold is spawning in a minute, so maybe they're going to try and transition this power into the mid and towards that top side. They should be able to actually get this turret as well. So many towers and plates going down so early in this game because of just a hard macro rotations coming out from both teams. They're wanting to fight. They're looking to contest at every single possible moment.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that LNG didn't manage to more cleanly rotate between towers with the Ziggs. It's kind of one of your gold standards that you're looking for with this. Despite lots of early damage onto the bot lane tower, but like that took a long time to fall. They don't manage to get the plates on the mid lane as well. At least LNG have built up significant amount of time for Jax to start farming, and he's got a cull as well. He's about to cash that one out, but I feel like opportunity missed from LNG to get LP incredibly ahead of the curve. for Weibo to be kind of wondering about what they can do about this mid game. Even this Vayne, right, started off very difficult situation, no summoners, forced off in so many ways early on. Suddenly 2-0-1. LNG, not sure they really got everything out of this early game that they wanted to.
Game's still very, very close. This Vayne is still scaling up. She's going to go for the Guinzoos, you'd imagine, next. And we'll see where the kind of matchup takes us from there. Good poke coming out here from Scout on this Jayce. This Rift Herald only down to about half HP, but already Xiaohu moving in, making sure he's being a nuisance, and he'll pick out Hong, and they will secure him down. Now trying to jump on the Scout, who flashes over the wall. Rift Herald still being taken right now. Karsa gets himself in.
Stolen.
Oh, it was the third proc. You got the silver bullets. Zika gets condemned backed away. They get themselves the Rift Herald a kill and an objective. Weibo turning the tides a little bit.
I swear, if this game is going to be decided by Light's Vayne, who got absolutely stomped level 1, somehow claws his way back in by a series of fights and kind of scrappy skirmishes to get him back into the game, I'm going to be partly really disappointed in LNG not shutting out Light from this game, but also very impressed with how Light has managed to get himself into the right place at the right time to punish LNG's mistakes. Feels like in this series, both in Game 1 and in Game 2, the team that has gotten ahead has been punished afterwards very quickly. So, and in this game, it's Hong looking for Hex Flash over the wall, much to that point. And this Gragas mid that we're seeing crop up more and more. Faker brought it out in the LCK, Niski brought it up in the LEC, Xiaohu bringing it out here today.
Oh, he hit the eye! The eye opens up right at the last second. I was like, he doesn't get 3 auto attacks off. How does he kill it with so much damage or so much health? Gets the eye. That is so unfortunate there for LNG, because in any other situations they secure that objective.
They do, but sadly not to be the case. And after that, Herald and inventory from Light. Not the easiest character to use it on, an AD carry, because you often want it on your jungler to be able to kind of rotate unseen around the map to another pushing lane, catch the other team kind of sleeping. You can put that Herald down without an appropriate response being available. But Light still going to effectively force LNG to match him with like 2-3 members at any point in case that Herald does go down. Now we're waiting to see. I'm trying to really think who I want to talk about this game in the perspective of now, because Weibo, I think they're pretty okay looking for Light to get a couple more items. They have that Herald coming up, and it feels like if they hit 2 items on Vayne, maybe you're okay to fight the next dragon in real and earnest. You have yourself gold lead, despite there being a lot of poke on the other side, which normally means these early objective fights can get very difficult. You've got 2 items coming in from the Jayce and the Ziggs, but Weibo, I think with the early gold on that Vayne, maybe fancy themselves picking a couple of fights in the next few minutes.
Just noticed there as well. Sharo hits. There. Just a trade of global objectives, but one clears minions far better than the other, but we are coming into another Mountain Soul game. LNG have 2 dragons to the good right now, but Weibo are definitely going to be contesting them in the next 1 minute's time. They do trade back the tower in bot lane, you would imagine, in the next couple of seconds. TheShy should be able to pick that one up for himself, and that gold should eke a little bit forward for Weibo. But the important thing to know here is that you have 2 items on this Ziggs, who is just going to be able to do so much in these team fights if he can just keep himself at arm's length, throwing in those bouncing bombs, getting those minefield downs, controlling the area, versus what is going to be the Guinzoos Rageblade of Light. He is going to have to get himself nice and upfront with these, upfront and personal with some of these tanks, you would imagine, if he wants to try and put out some work.
Yeah. So when it comes to the execution in these team fights, I know we don't see Ziggs as much nowadays, and some people think he's just a wave clear bot. There is a serious degree of execution of where he's positioning and where he's putting those minefields as well. If one minefield and one satchel doesn't get maximum value in these team fights, you're opening up the door for Light to get beyond him, start getting into DPS range. Shadow, of course, similar kind of story. Want to see how much value they can get out of the combos.
Well, TheShy is the one they're getting engaged upon right now. Xiaohu jumps in to try and help him out. Explosive class is good. TheShy almost going down. They do land the Glacial Prison there onto Chris. No one's gone down just yet. Karsa cannot die. If he dies, that's going to be sole point for the side of LNG. Weibo are still backing themselves away. The poke is significant for LNG. Actually, the Rift Herald gets dropped on this bot side just because I think it was about to lose out on its timer. So LNG will have priority over mid, but Weibo not giving up on this dragon just yet.
Not just yet, but what have they really got to fight with? They've used the explosive cast, their big objective. They have very little to engage with. They have to just kill the dragon.
Yeah, that looks like there's going to be the plan. It's very difficult right now. You can see LNG to really kind of commit to this. They haven't got the Jax with them. They don't want to commit to a 4v5. It looks like the Dragon should just be secured. And we go on for another few minutes without a soul point. So LNG, they don't kill anybody. And because of that, 2 objectives kind of get traded off for 1. You got the mid lane tier 1, yes, for Zika, but bot lane tier 1 and the Dragon. Weibo are happy.
Weibo are very happy. Means you don't have an early amount of soul points staring yourself in the face. Get yourself, of course, the base resist as well, particularly with something like Vayne that potentially could go towards something like a Wit's End later into the game to survive out a little bit more on something like the Ziggs and the Nautilus. Those resists will be buffed up by those Mountain Dragons. Very important to note if it does come down to these very close margins, which we saw even in that first game as well, similar situation. So Weibo feels like they are in the scaling advantage as compared to game 1. And they're in a decent spot right now. They're in a decent spot.
Wait for another 4 minutes to the next Dragon. You imagine that's really where the next real fight is going to be. Both teams happy to let someone really overextends to just kind of ping-pong these waves for the moment. 2 items completed. I must say that the Ziggs right now is really putting in work. Already on the 10 CS per minute right now and putting in some fantastic clearing numbers. As we can see that Light's just trying to back this one back. And this is the thing. Light will be able to clear out the minion waves so fast once he gets onto those 3-4 item points. But you got to get there. And Ziggs, the great power with him is that you just have control over this mid lane at all times. And the fact that you go to Ziggs means you can go with a teleport rather than the combat summoner. So the teleport advantages that you might be able to get as Weibo just don't really exist in the same way.
I mean, you know, so Vayne is not obviously famed for their wave clear, but you can clear winning waves really quick with the Lawnmower build, where you kind of go for a Titanic Hydra and you build up like some kind of half-tank items. I find that one particularly fun. There was a build where you built Riftmaker as well. That was a little bit too much of dark tech. I tried it a couple of times, but not sure that's particularly appropriate. I'm
sure your teammates appreciated it.
Okay. They did want to go to quadra kill. Like again, like the thing about Vayne is that you hit 4 items of pretty much anything, and you pretty much just run the game, and that's going to be a real danger here for LNG. It did feel like again they had to accelerate the game around the Ziggs, around his tower taking potential. The problem with Ziggs though is that if you stall out, and we saw this a lot around Season 8 when that champion was really, really popular. We saw KT Rolster picking that up around then. Of course, that was kind of the flavor of the day at that point. Breaking inner turrets is your real problem, because you get around the outer turrets, it takes a while for the enemy team to respond to them, very large distance across the map to travel to. Inner turrets rather, you can arrive at them fairly quickly. And you can see that LP, he can't really push up that far. Maybe Xiaohu flies across the wall, maybe an arrow comes out of nowhere, and he's in real bit of trouble at that point. So LNG, I don't see easy ways for them to take down these structures. They're really looking for potentially Crisp out of position, maybe someone like Karsa as well. You need to get one of these big semi-global Ziggs ults combos to really start forcing this game state forward. I think they're going to start struggling otherwise, because it feels like they're just ping-ponging waves back into Weibo.
Does feel like both teams really are trying to get the most out of their champions right now. Played the Rune King finish up here for Zika is very significant. It means TheShy is going to have a lot harder time just dealing with him in a side lane. Dragon spawning in a minute 30. Baron is live on the map. We look quickly at the items that everybody else has for themselves, and you're still waiting for the Muramana to be finished up here by Scout. You do have the Gargoyle Stone Plate now for TheShy, so decent points here, and you can see already Weibo recognizing, look, we need to get Karsa onto his Void Staff, so hopefully picking him up a little bit of farm will get him over the line just before this Dragon. So, Nymaera, 1 minute to go. We know how LNG like to play. You've got yourself the Ziggs. You want to try and, you know, set up beforehand. Oof. Opportunistic, to say the least, but you got to take those shots.
I'm not allowed to have an analytical opinion in this.
But yes, we know how they want to go for it. Weibo need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes, exactly. Weibo's job is to soak the Nautilus, soak the Ziggs ult if at all possible. If it hits Crisp, that's bad. If it hits Light, even worse. Can't allow that to happen. You see, LP actually looking to recall. Maybe he has himself Void Staff on his back. In fact, just about to buy something right now. See what that item completion is. He does 3 items on the Ziggs for this fight. You have to avoid that combo onto your carries.
Yeah, I mean, even like poke onto Karsa right now is going to be significantly effective. So Karsa trying to move his way forward, has to use the repel early. Honestly, he has to do that right there, because if he gets caught, he is dead. Very, very squishy on this Elise. So we are going to see explosive cast after the Ashe Arrow flash away from Hung. They've eaten up the ultimates that you just talked about. No ultimate from the Ziggs and no flash there from Hung, so no flash hook going to be used on this fight. But Dragon has been started. This could be huge for Weibo.
Could be, because that Ziggs ult hit absolutely no one. The CC combo wasn't there, and now the Dragon's being forced down.
They haven't really gotten anyone there. The Jack's kind of pushed in that mid lane. That Dragon not going down very quickly. Tarzan doesn't quite get himself in there as Karsa try to see how Karsa going in. Wait, Karsa's dead. Karsa just got obliterated by Scout on the back side of it, and the poke was too much. All of a sudden, this fight just went topsy-turvy. What happened? It looked all Weibo, and then it just turned into LNG.
That fight was won. It was done. You'd done the hard work. The Ziggs ult got nothing done. You'd soaked the first few cooldowns. And then Karsa gets picked off around the back. They lose the Dragon. They lose themselves their smite as well. That is going to be Soul Point. It is going to be the Baron going down. And LNG, that is a godsend. It is once again a fumble around one of these Dragon fights from Weibo, which has given LNG a path into this game they had no right having.
Oh, that's so unfortunate there for Weibo. And again, it's the duality of this Elise pick. It's so squishy. Let's have a look. He's already down. And yeah, he just gets shock blasted and killed. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. Again, this is after the hard work's been done. Imagine how dangerous that gets if you do have a Ziggs ult being held at that point in time. You can see the power of LNG's comp not even being brought to kind of full bear at that point. Now you have to stare down. Gold advantage being built up. Extra items being put in. LP 3-1 and 3, building towards what looks to be a death cap. I mean, I have to assume that will be what's building out of that needlessly large rod. And it feels like LNG, they've been afforded a very large advantage for how they played out parts of this early game. Felt like they'd stalled out, but find themselves a second wind. Weibo, what do you do now? Can you wave clear enough on these side lanes? You have Zika building up something later. Oh, Scout dodged out.
They need that to hit, and this is now the issue right now. You look at the items, you look at the Baron buffs, you just don't really have a way of setting up fights right now without putting your solo laners in danger, without putting Xiaohu in danger. They're looking to try and see if they can catch someone out with a cocoon, with an Ashe arrow, something to get this fight going for them right now, but it's just so difficult. And the great thing is for LNG...
Ziggs on towers, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't even need that much firepower in the side lanes because Ziggs has got himself a satchel charge.
You don't have the range, you don't have the safety. You're looking for, what, a flash barrel combo from Xiaohu? He's maybe the one way that they can break this siege.
I mean, there's so many minions right there. They will get the Shy to tank up a little bit just to make sure you can push forward, but then Scout gets some free time. There's 2 towers. It's a 5,000 gold lead. I mean, Weibo, you got to make something happen. You got to try, do something, because right now you're
Karsa?
falling further and further behind. Karsa is too squishy. He thought he found an angle, but it was just not to be. And now, without the Elise, without that burst damage, can you even fight this? TheShy looking to try and maybe make something going in. There we go. They flash in. They try to find him, but again, he can't kill him off just yet. They commit so much going forward. Can they find anything else? They still have Chris, but Light has to back away. He's too damn low, and 4 members strong. LNG said you can kill our Ziggs, but we'll take your Nexus.
Inconsistencies plaguing Weibo once more, but LNG ruthless when they see the opening. Weibo really starting to be made aware that LNG aren't just this team which has been pub stomping these lower teams. They are 7-1. They are looking like one of our very top teams in the LPL.
Won't kill off the Nexus just yet, but they are going to leave it in tatters. They are taking away inhibitor, second inhibitor. Crisp is dead. They may start to turn their eyes back onto this. Flash is beautiful from Scout. Karsa gets a kill back on the Tarzan, but it literally means nothing. You are still going to die. You are still going to lose. And in the first of 4 trials, Weibo is the first one to fall, and LNG have successfully routed one of our top teams.
Just the victory lap on the Nexus. The wave is dead. It might end up meaning this game lasts a little longer. A couple of deaths fall down.
Still a Ziggs.
Still a Ziggs. But I'm just sat here like, yeah, you have an Ashe arrow up in a couple of seconds. Maybe one last act to be thrown into the equation.
These staggered death timers mean that the defense is just not really going to be there. Nexus turrets do fall. Xiaohu does lose that. Chris has to flash just to make sure he doesn't die to the auto attack. But there it is, 2-0 LNG, and LP is feeling it right now. Because like we said, there were doubts, there were question marks over this team, whether or not they were just pub stomping teams below them. They took on a top 6 team and they came out with flying colors.
Now, of course, this is not nearly the end of the road for LNG. They still have
trial 1 of 4.
Yeah, they have EDG, Top, and JDG. This has to be something that they build off as well. I think my main takeaways from this series are, these teams are not flawless. They do make mistakes in the early game, sometimes around those objectives as well. What I'm very impressed with, though, is how they managed to punish around these objectives, particularly how LNG punished around those dragons. First game was